Good morning. It is the last day of school. It is Tuesday, May 25th. I'm in the middle of getting dressed. It's about 6:45. And for the last day of school, I thought it would be interesting to just do like a Q&A on Instagram where people can ask me whatever questions they have about this very unique school year that we've had. So I'm going to try and answer them throughout the day at different points in the day is the plan. So this is going to be the first round. I'm going to answer a couple right now while I do my hair. Like, this is what my hair looks like in the morning when it's not done. So the first question, and I don't know, let me see if I want to say names, because sometimes I feel like I mispronounce them. This one is from Soy Palafox, I think is how you pronounce it. And she asked what was the easiest part of this school year. I'm running out of this stuff. The easiest part, So what was the easiest part of this school year? I don't know that there was a part that I would classify as easy. I think if I had to pick anything, just figuring out how to like let the students see my personality and connect with students over Zoom was the easiest part, only in the sense that it was much easier than what I thought it was going to be. Last year when school closed just abruptly, it was voluntary for kids to attend class. And if I had kids attend class, they never had their cameras on. So I really was talking to just a black screen all the time. And you clearly can't connect with a face that you can't see. And as I've said multiple times before, last year and this year, that experience was soul crushing is the phrase that I use. And it's not even like over dramatized. So when I found out we were gonna have to teach that way to start, I just thought I can't connect with students through the computer. And that's an important part of me enjoying teaching, is just feeling like I have some sense of a connection with the students. But I was wrong. You know, cameras were on, and I was very fortunate that most kids adhered to my requirement that they be on camera to some extent. And we found ways just to kind of enjoy each other's company through Zoom. So I would say that was the easiest part for me. But I wouldn't say that it was super easy, if that makes sense. The second question is, how did vlogging affect your daily life? And this is from Vanessa Tothstars, I think. It honestly affected my life in that it made my day more busy. YouTube I've been doing for maybe 5 years or so, but it's always kind of been on a when I have time or when I feel like it basis. So if there were days where I was really tired or just not in the mood to pick up the camera, I had the ability and the freedom to not do so. But since I've committed to vlogging every day in 2021, that flexibility is gone, and there are days where I question the sanity of that choice because it makes my days longer. So for sure, like, I don't eat dinner as early as I would like to. I am trying my hardest to eat dinner before 8 o'clock, but it just seems impossible because now editing every day is a part of a daily task that I have to do. And so sometimes it feels overwhelming and like too much, but I'm just the kind of person that once I set my mind to do something, I have to stick it through. So there have definitely been days where I want to stop, but I can't. But on the flip side, it's brought a lot of benefits. So obviously more frequent uploads means that the extra income that I earn from it has increased, and it's just more exposure for, you know, opportunities to work with different companies or brands, and that's been beneficial to me in my like financial journey that I'm taking. So definitely more positives than negatives, but it has just made my days longer and more busy and kind of contributed to my general feeling of being tired at times. So those are the first two questions that I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer more throughout the day, but I now need to really get serious about fixing my hair and getting ready to go because I have to make a couple stops before I get to work. So I hope that you enjoyed these Q&As throughout the day, and you can pose a question on Instagram right now. I think by the time this uploads, it'll still be there, and I'll probably answer it in the stories. But happy last day to me, and I will be talking to you guys later. It is 10:40. I am on my lunch break. We dismissed our first half of students about 40 minutes ago. And it was weird. Like, it was weird that like that was the last time that we were going to see them. I think even they said like it doesn't even feel like the last day of school. And I think it's because we just haven't, as long as the school year has felt, we just haven't had a lot of time together, obviously. So it feels odd that like that quick it's over. And so as they left, especially the last class, I was like, guys, look around. This is your last few minutes of middle school. It's an end of an era for you. And they were just kind of like, I know. So what I did in both classes is, both morning classes is I gave them had them pick their donuts. They played games and just relaxed. I really had no plans. I said, you can do whatever you like. If you want to just hang out, spend some time together before you guys all kind of dismiss, that's fine. If you want to exchange contact information, that's fine. So I let them do that. Some of them wanted my Instagram information, so I made sure they had that. But just like enjoyed each other's company, basically. Nothing formalized or anything along those lines. So I have 2 more classes to go. I'm only seeing each class for 1 hour. So 1 hour with my PM homeroom class, and then 1 hour with my PM switch class, and it's pretty much going to be the same thing. Yeah, it just feels weird. It's like the last day, but it's like the day that we're all looking forward to, but also like, wow, I can't believe this day actually came. So with that being said, let me answer a couple more questions. Let's see. All right, the next question I'm gonna answer is from Valencia 60625, and she says, what is something about this year you hope never to repeat? That one is easy, and that would be having to teach through Zoom, like that being my only option. So I am hoping and praying that like as a state and as a country, we get it together so that we never get back to the point where schools have to shut down. Like, I made it work, and it wasn't nowhere near as bad as it felt last year, but there is just something just so like mentally draining and emotionally draining when you're trying to like communicate and connect through a screen. Even though we're able to do it, it's harder. Like, it's just so much emotional energy to like read people's faces and pick up on social cues through a computer screen. So I hope to never have to repeat that. I think having Zoom as just an option for other things, like having IEPs or meetings like that, is fantastic, but I hope to never have to teach like that again. The next question is from Maddie. Valencia 60625 asked 3 questions, but just out of fairness, I'm gonna pick someone else's first, and I might come back to these later and answer them. This one is from Maddie Robinek, and it says, what is something you learned teaching this year that you will take with you into next year? I think just being creative with ways that kids can collaborate. Like, collaborating can be done both in person and digitally, and like pushing things like Google Slides to make it work in a collaborative environment, and just kind of stretching myself that way. Also, that as tech savvy or as technologically involved as kids are, there is a certain level where they enjoy it, but they also, I think, want to have actual interactions with people and have actual pieces of paper in their hand and hold actual books and things like that. Because I do know a couple of kids, I was asking a little while ago, because I was letting them know that I plan to go pretty digital next year and go as paperless as possible. And so they were letting me know, and they let my current teaching partner know, that there are certain things that they just would rather do using paper and pencil, especially with math. Like, I think they told her we would rather do these things with paper and pencil, even though we know that there's ways to do it digitally. And when I asked them about my class, they said it really just depends on the topic. And so I think with things like reading passages together, they definitely prefer to have the actual thing in front of them to highlight and mark up, as opposed to using something like Cami. So I think when I plan to go paperless next year, like just making sure to find that fine balance where I'm not overdoing it with just everything being accessible through tech only, and kind of mixing that with paper and pencil, like old school teaching things. So those are the 2 questions I'm going to answer right now. I need to make sure that I have time to run up to the office, check my box, take a potty break before my next group comes, and I will be sure obviously to answer some more questions as the day progresses. But halfway done with the last day of school. So far so good. Definitely sad and gonna miss these kids, but also excited for the opportunity to rest. So talk to you later. The last day of school is complete. My room is as packed up as it needs to be. Desks are moved to this side of the room. Well, chairs. Desks are there to make way for carpet replacement. I'm probably gonna roll this into the pod just in case. And that's it. I have completed the school year. I have made it. I have survived. I am proud of myself. I am proud of everyone who went through this. I am relieved. I am a little disoriented. I'm surprised that I actually made it this far. I am thankful. And so, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm gonna be leaving in a little bit, I think, because I have taken care of all of my responsibilities that I know that I need to take care of. But I am gonna answer 2 more questions from you guys. And before I forget, one of the questions I just answered, I can't remember the person's username, but I will try and put it on the screen here. I accidentally, because what I'm trying to do is delete the questions as I respond to them so that I'm not like duplicating responses or getting confused. And so I clicked to delete the question and I accidentally blocked the user. So when I'm editing it, I will figure out what the username is because I can't remember. But if you are trying to access my account and you asked me a question today and you no longer are able to get on my Instagram account, that is why. It was on accident. It was on purpose. I am so sorry. I was trying to figure out how to undo it, and I just haven't figured that out yet. I'm sorry. So the next question I'm going to answer is, what is one thing you would not change? And that is from Adventures of Miss A. I would not change my students. Like, I really feel like, generally speaking, I had a really good group of students this year. Even when we were going through that period of the school year where not everyone was turning in assignments, not everybody was getting things completed, because I know some of that was just kids having a hard time adjusting to the situation that we're in and dealing with COVID and what was going on outside of the classroom with their family and whatever the case may be. And so I'm so thankful that we had some time together in person, because like I've said in previous vlogs as of late, there's kids that I really didn't know, because I was only interacting with them through Zoom. And there's kids that I've met that are just like really sweet kids, and that they were unable to show that or display that in a virtual setting. So I would not change the students that I had at all. And then the next question is from CC17263. If you could warn your August self about this school year, what would you say? That's a good question. At first I was gonna say like, it's not gonna be as bad as you think, or that you'll make it, but that's not really a warning. If I had to give like a true warning, I would warn myself that you're gonna have to let go of a lot of control. that so much of the control that you would normally have under normal circumstances, you no longer have. There's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna have to let that go. You're gonna have to accept that kids are probably not really paying attention to you when you're teaching on Zoom. And you're just gonna have to be okay with that. And just know that that's the reality of this particular school year. And I think that that was one of the hardest things for me to just accept, as I'm sure it was for most teachers, just feeling like you are helpless. You can't do anything to fix situations because of that hindrance of not being in person with them. So I would definitely change that. So I'm going to delete these 2 questions that I just answered and make sure to not block these 2 people like I did with the last one. Let me concentrate. So that's it. I'm probably gonna go to the office, maybe say goodbye to some people there, check on Taylor to see if she's done and when she's leaving, and then head out. I also wanted to show you this. This is a gift that a student made for me and I just love it. It is, what do you call this? I can't remember what this is called. Is it needlepoint? It might be needlepoint, but she made this. It says resist. It's like protest signs saying resist, and it's different women of different backgrounds, and I love it for so many reasons. One of which is it's very indicative of this student. This is a student that I have who would like to be president one day. The first, I don't know that she'll be the first because Kamala Harris is coming through, but definitely is aspiring to something along those lines in terms of her future. So I love it because it's something that she made and it represents her. So this will have a permanent spot in my classroom somewhere next year. So I wanted to share that because I loved it. So let me go say my goodbyes to some people, and the rest of the questions I will probably be answering from home. So I'll see you later. I am home. I got home a little while ago. After I spoke to you guys last, I cleaned up, went to the office, said goodbye to people, talked to a couple people that work outside of the office, and talked longer than what I intended. So I got home later than what I wanted to, but that's okay. So I'm gonna answer 2 more questions before I head out to a little celebration to commemorate the last day of school with some friends of mine that worked at the first school I was at when I started this whole YouTube teacher experience. So the next question I'm gonna ask is from Crownher 9302. What was your biggest achievement? And quite honestly, my biggest achievement was surviving. Was surviving the school year and staying committed to providing and creating lessons that I felt proud of, that I felt like were rigorous, that weren't just busy work. Now, not all students interacted with all the lessons all the time, but I feel very good about the lessons that I taught enough so that I would repeat them next year. So that is what I would say my biggest accomplishment was, or achievement. And then Sunshine 1023 said, how do you plan to unwind during your summer break? Sleeping in, doing whatever I feel like doing when I feel like doing it. I don't have any major plans. I feel like I said this before on here, or maybe I was talking to somebody else. I was supposed to go to South Africa this summer with book bag tours, but that got canceled because of COVID. I didn't really plan anything outside of that because that was kind of a big trip. So as of right now, I don't have anything formally planned. I would like to hopefully find time to meet up with friends and do things that are local and just enjoy things like that for the time being. But I don't have any real plans aside from that. And let's see. I'll answer one more. This one is from Lauren Alisek. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. And my arm is hurting, so I'm gonna sit you down here. And her question is, what was the highlight of the year, personal or professional? Okay, the highlight of the year was the moment where the kids that chose to come back in person came back, because it really just felt good to be in class with actual students, talking to them face to face, getting to know some students in ways that I didn't know them before, getting to see a new side of them, allowing them to see a new side of me. And I would say that that was definitely the highlight. If I were still teaching virtually right now, I just don't even know what my mindset would be. I think I would be more tired than what I already am. and I'm getting a phone call. So I'm gonna end it there, and I will talk to you guys later. It is now 6 o'clock. I'm home from happy hour. I went to happy hour and ordered no food and nothing to drink, including water. But it was nice just to socialize. I please don't judge me. Like, I don't know if anybody else goes to happy hour and doesn't order anything whatsoever, but I'm gonna go through a few more questions. I don't know if I'll get through all of them because I don't want the video to be too long, so some of these might get answered through stories depending on how long it takes. But the next question is from Mary Laura. And oh wait, no, I skipped one. Sorry, I skipped quite a few. This one is from Lemons Sugred. I don't know. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And the question says, I'd love to know what your top tip for parents would be going into next school year. I feel like just the basic tip I would have is to just trust that the teacher is not, you know, maliciously making up information about your child. Like, trust that the teacher is telling the truth if they're letting you know of any struggles or difficulties that they're having with your child in particular would be one thing, because I think that is probably the most frustrating thing, where you are reaching out to a parent and letting them know of some concerns or some issues. And a lot of times I've had parents in the past respond to my initial reach out and say, well, my child is saying X, Y, and Z. And I understand that you want to like advocate for your child, but sometimes it hurts as a teacher to know like that feels like the parent's not trusting that what you're saying. And so then it makes it difficult for you guys to see eye to eye on ways to support the child if they need that kind of support, because you're spending a portion of that time kind of going back and forth with a little bit of he said, she said. So I would definitely say that. And also, I think just embrace like a little bit of struggle for your child. Like, I think just understanding and making sure kids understand like it's okay to go to school and not know all the answers, and to teach them that having the right answer, at least with language arts and history for me, that having the right answer is not always the most important thing, and it's more so about a willingness to attempt to answer and kind of think through and express your thoughts and be able to be willing to think critically. I think for me and what I teach, that's what I'm most excited by. I'm not necessarily super excited by kids that always want to give you the right answer, because that feels more like they're more concerned with just giving you an answer that they think you want, as opposed to kind of thinking about why they think what they think and being able to support that answer. So, you know, just being okay that your child might struggle and understand that there's growth in the struggle is what I would say. Reese P says, how happy are you that it's over? Very. Nothing to say besides I'm very happy, I'm very relieved that it's over and that we made it. Valerie's Nose, I think, says, would love to hear the small joys, wins with students this year. So again, I think just meeting a lot of them in person that I hadn't met at all about a month and a half ago. There were a couple lessons that I felt like were really great. I know we had one language arts lesson with one class where we had really good discussion based on the poem The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. I think just watching kids like interact with social issues in a mature way and be able to express their thoughts and opinions and listen to the thoughts and opinions of others respectfully was great. And so I would definitely consider those the joys and the wins for me this school year, in a year where there was so much struggle and strife. Elvis 7273, what was the worst and best thing about teaching virtual? The worst thing was the teaching virtual. The actual act of teaching virtually and talking to kids through a computer screen. But surprisingly, the best thing about teaching virtual is that you had a little bit more flexibility with your day. that was nice. Like just not being on such a rigid time schedule was nice, and having like little breaks throughout the day, and ultimately being able to work from home and just being in the comfort of my home. I surprisingly ended up liking that a little bit more when we were later in the year and we had that period of time where we had to work from home. I found a way to appreciate it, which was pretty surprising to me. I'm just booking around to ask, what was your most memorable moment of this year? I think the day that we had the fishbowl discussion about the insurrection at the Capitol, and like just hearing the kids and listening to the kids that chose to speak, be so respectful and so reflective, was great. And then I think also having a couple weeks ago, just a discussion, we were talking about the Holocaust, and like kids were just having honest reactions about like, I'm not 100% sure why we should care so much now. And then kids were giving their perspective on why we should care. And it was just a discussion where there were clearly varying viewpoints on how we should interact with the information from the Holocaust and why it's relevant to learn about now. But again, the kids being able to just have a somewhat heated debate and do so respectfully was like a teacher's dream. I just remember sitting there like just looking like, oh my God, like look at these kids handling it. So that was definitely great. Could you do it again if you had to? Is what Karina Ramirez wants to know, and I don't think I could. Obviously, if I had to, and this was my livelihood, I would find a way, but just I have no desire to do it again whatsoever. Mira Laura is what I was trying to say earlier. The moment you were most proud of your students, of yourself. So again, I would talk about those discussions and the way that they handled it. And as far as myself, just being, you know, I think creating an environment where those discussions could happen respectfully, even though we were virtual, and also forcing myself to have them, even though I knew that they could be uncomfortable at times. Excuse Rayleigh. Excuse Rayleigh. Hi. Bonjour Smooch. I've always seen this and I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Highest and lowest point. Again, highest, just meeting my kids in person. Lowest would just be, I feel like it was right around just before winter break, somewhere around there, where just the emotional part of like talking into a screen and getting minimal response, or like blank stares or awkward silences would be the lowest. It didn't happen all the time, but there were definitely times where you can just feel the kids were just like over it and not into it. Even the kids that participated quite frequently, just seeing them get to the point where they're like, I can't even do this anymore, I would definitely say is the lowest. Sam Exos says, congrats. Do your students know / watch your vlogs? If so, how do you feel about that? I would say most of them do know about it. Many of them do watch it because they make reference to it very specifically. And how do I feel about it? I feel good about it. I feel like I like them to see me as a person, and not just a teacher, that they can see that I have a life outside of the classroom, that they can get to know me in a way that they maybe wouldn't know me in the classroom. I think that it's something that's interesting to them because a lot of them are into social media. And I don't mind knowing that they watch it as well as their parents. I know parents watch it, parents that I currently have, parents that I might have in the future, parents that I've had in the past. I don't feel like I'm doing anything that I would be embarrassed by on here. Beauty with Mika, greatest moments. What do you love more now about teaching? I feel like I've answered the greatest moments a few times. What do I love more now about teaching? I think just teaching history. I think because I was very focused on being more purposeful about history lessons, I feel like I grew in that area, and I definitely enjoyed teaching it more, and I think the kids enjoyed learning it more this year than what I would say the kids did last year. Teaching with candor. What's something you're grateful for this school year? Just the chance to build relationship with kids that I hadn't been able to connect with virtually. because there are a few where I feel like we had a connection in person, but not so much virtually for a variety of reasons. And then teaching with candor asked a few questions that that I'll probably answer in stories just to keep this short. Some people are just congratulating me on making it. Highs and lows of teaching, I feel like I answered that. Favorite memory, least favorite memory, I feel like I answered that. Excited about what for the fall, summer plans. I'm just excited for a fresh start, for school to return to normal to some sense. I have no concrete summer plans as of yet. Are you still going on that teacher trip? So I was supposed to go to South Africa. That was the teaching trip, and I'm not going to be going on that anymore. Another question about best part. What surprised you most about teaching remotely? I think that I could do it, that I was able to flex really quick and learn really quick and make it happen really quick. And also that the kids are not as tech savvy as I think we assumed that they were, and that they were as reluctant as they were to engage virtually, because I wasn't really expecting that. And that was a question from Mrs. TRWFE. Jay's mom, T's wife. Is your district offering virtual learning next year? No, we have a pretty sound and concrete homeschool program that we've always had. So we're not offering any sort of virtual academy. If students find that they do not want to turn to campus for whatever reason, they will have the option of doing homeschool. Favorite memory, I've answered that. That was by the voracious teacher. And then the last one, I actually got through all of these, is one word to describe the year. I would say exhausting. Mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, emotionally exhausting. You were just exhausted in different ways at different times, and that is the word that I would choose. So my battery is dying, the daylight is going away. All in all, I'm just thankful that I made it through the year, that I was relatively successful, that I met many of my students, that I was able to connect, that I just adjusted when I needed to adjust and found ways to still find fulfillment and joy out of teaching, even though I was exhausted most of the time, and that I wasn't so exhausted or discouraged or depleted that I felt like I needed to leave the profession, which I know is a reality for a lot of teachers out there. And I totally understand it, because this has been a rough year. I think I learned this year how much students and their families rely on the schooling system for just structure for their kids in terms of their education, but also how different home dynamics affect students in school. And you know, there's some students that were able to just kind of adjust to this because they had certain steps and procedures and supports in place at home, and then some students that had a harder time because for different reasons they didn't have the same supports and things like that at home, or they just had some overwhelming issues or emotional needs that just weren't being met in a virtual setting. So I'm gonna end the vlog here. I feel like it's gonna be long, my apologies, but if you enjoyed kind of following me on my last day of school and kind of getting some Q&A time, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you do that. As always, I hope that you are well, and if you are not well, please be well. And I will see you tomorrow for kind of the start of more summertime vlogs, but I do have a meeting that I have to attend, but we'll see. They'll be very loose, very relaxed. I don't even know what I'll be sharing. I might share some of the leadership stuff that I'm doing along the way, but we shall see. So happy last day of school. If it's not yours yet, it's coming. I am right there counting the days with you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.